I thought coaching is unstructured. One-on-one coaching can be unstructured, but as soon as you bring more than one person in a room, we need to activate more structure. It does not mean that we are telling the clients what to do. It's not structure around their agenda, but it's structure around process. And I think this is something that I, over many, many decades now, have heard coaches jump on that and say, but you said structure. No, I said structure around process. That is going to give people more safety, more connection, so that they are able then to articulate what is on their agenda. Hi, I'm Jennifer Britton, and welcome to the Coaching Money Podcast. I've been on a mission for the last 20 years to expand the coaching conversation to many. Along with my co-host, Evana Valle, we're going to be exploring coaching as it relates to conversations, connection, and change in both personal and professional settings. Coaching Money is about creating empowering and thought-provoking spaces for conversation which strengthen relationships and enhance results. Throughout the Coaching Money podcast, we'll share tools, practices, and approaches to support you in your conversations, one dialogue at a time. So, Happy New Year, Evana. We are sitting down for our first 2026 podcast episode. Can't believe how fast the last year has gone. And I think our topic today is really going to be exciting. It's going to be about setting ourselves as coaches and our clients up for success in group and team coaching. So again, Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you too, Jen. Great to be here with you for another abundant year of conversations and richness and learning, because we get to learn through these conversations for ourselves and hopefully for those who are listening. So thank you, listeners, for being here with us for another year. And we really are here to support and give value and provocative thinking of what am I doing and what needs to shift and pivot so I can do what I want to do and what brings me joy, even, and have more impact, greater impact.
Yeah. And you and I were talking just before recording this about what we've noticed about the first year and a half, almost 2 years now, of the Coaching Money podcast and what types of episodes you're listening to and enjoying. And so we are going back to basics with this one, right? It's the start of the year. It's a great time to remind ourselves, how do we create conditions for success in the group and team coaching space? And that's not only for ourselves. Again, coaching is client-centric. It's all about what do our unique clients need. And I think that's why I love our work and I love my work with clients. Every day is a different day. Every group is a different group. Even the same cohort, call 6 may have a completely different rhythm than call 1 or 2 did. So it's always fluid, always changing. And that's where we want to go back to some of these basics around what are some of those core things you want to be thinking about. And even in the way we're presenting it, really adjusting it for your clients, because you know what your folks need. And let's jump right in. Like, when you think about setting people up for success, what comes to mind for you?
What comes to mind for me is, in order for me to set my clients up for success, I need to actually know what that even means for me. What is success for myself as a coach, as a solopreneur? Because again, like I said, if we want to have greater impact, that means that we need to be here, like here now, but also available for the long haul. So I'm already exploring this. I did a little bit of this in 2025. What is my vision? What are my goals for a effective 2026? So I think part of this is these are tools that we invite our clients to engage in and use, but also how does that affect us? What's the vision? What's the goal? So I think, and that's part of setting myself up for success. So I know where I'm focusing. And because when you do everything, you do nothing. And that's also, and I even as I say that, Jen, I'm even thinking like, that's true, even in a coaching conversation. I see this in practicum. Oh, I want to put everything in the kitchen and the kitchen sink in the conversation. And that's not setting up our clients for success, nor is it setting you up for success as the coach. What about you?
Yeah, well, I think vision is always critical, right? Like, how do we really think about what it is that we want to be creating. There's the intentionality. We've dedicated multiple episodes to that topic of intentionality. So we do want to think about what is our role? What do our clients want? What do they need? And what do they need now? Not 5 years ago, but what do they need now? Because I think that the world continues to change. The landscape of our work and the types of conversations we're having is also changing. So within that, it's not only our vision, but it's also where are people at right now. That's what I'm very conscious of, is like meeting people where they're at. And I think trust levels are at their lowest. The surveys continue to show a massive decline, certainly with things that have happened during 2025, massive changes in workspaces. And so that's leading to what is the role of coaching, I think, overall? What is the importance of group connection?
Yeah.
And I think and this is a question to really be checking out with your clients. What are they coming to coaching for? What are they specifically coming to group coaching for? Is it connection? Is it learning? Is it being challenged? We don't want to make assumptions that really are not representative of what clients want right now. So back to one of the best practices I've been talking about since we opened the doors here 20 years ago, pre-calls, the importance of pre-calls, and really spending that time with your clients to get them thinking about what do they want? What do they need? What can you offer as a group? So we also need to be very clear on what
Yes.
group coaching is or team coaching is and is not. And I think this is where there's a lot of conflation in the market, which is confusing coaches, it's confusing clients, it's actually not doing a great service for anyone. So just to reinforce, group coaching is a coaching process which involves small groups. Groups in the ICF mandate, 15 people or less. Groups and group coaching is not about training. It's not about bringing in massive content. That is training and group facilitation. Group coaching is about creating awareness, supporting people on their goals, holding the space for accountability, and any sort of blend of those. So the definition has not changed in 16 years, yet there's a lot of different things being passed off as group coaching that really are group facilitation and group training. And I think this is where you need to go to your clients and ask them, what is it that they want? And as a credentialed coach, this is something you will want to be very clear what you are offering, what you are not offering. And if you're taking off that coaching hat, fine, but be explicit about it. Because I think this is actually in 2026 has eroded, not is eroding, but has eroded many things significantly. And I'm speaking not only to coaches, but I'm also at this point speaking to coaching platforms. And coaching platforms do have a responsibility to be very clear about what they are selling. And is that coaching or is that something else? And I'm going to be very firm about that as a coaching educator and supervisor.
You've said so much in the last few minutes that I think we could probably pull out some of these things and spend the rest of the conversation. But one thing I want to say is, yeah, ICF says 15 or less. And I go back to the topic of the session is setting up coach and client for success. Just because ICF says 15, you have to discern again through those conversations, whether it be in the pre-calls, but even I would say even before the pre-calls is really just general conversations. We can call it marketing, but what are the needs? What are those wants that our potential participants want? Because some of these things will also inform you as the coach to say how many people are best to be in my group. ICF says 15. I don't go anywhere near 15. And there's a reason why I don't. Even our programs, we cap at 9.
Yeah.
Because we know even at that edge, And this is a training program, not a group coaching program. I'm speaking explicitly of group coaching essentials. We know that the richness, the ability to have that space for more dialogue gets limited. It moves you more in a group coaching context, at least it moves you more into that facilitation. You can't create that intimacy. You can't have the depth and breadth with
Mhm,
that many people. And so
mhm.
setting yourself up for success is really looking at what you're offering, what conversations you want to have, what types of conversations. And again, like you said, what client centric, what do they want? What do they need? And you
Yeah.
need to be able to adapt. I've had
Mm.
to adapt.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can have the richness. So you can have that, I call it the arc of transformation that people are really coming for. They're thirsty, they're hungry for. And part of that is because they want community, they want
Mhm.
connection. And when you've got high numbers, or if you're unclear yourself as the coach, what you're offering, how can you absolutely articulate that? And that's our core competency of ethics, what
Yeah.
coaching is and what coaching isn't, what
Yeah.
you're going to be invited to do in this program and what you're not going to be asked to do.
It's not only ethics, but it's co-creating agreements. Like, let's be
Absolutely. Thank
really
you.
explicit. And again, one thing we're in the process of is even in our web marketing, just being more explicit that this is not. And given that we work across the entire landscape of learning, continuing to reinforce that. So, invite for you
Mhm.
to think about what is it that your clients want. And if it's not connection and if it's not community, then maybe group coaching isn't the right vehicle. Just going to say it explicitly. The last few years, there's been this push. Oh, group coaching is great. Yeah, you can scale, but not everyone wants group coaching. And I think we do need to go back to readiness. We need to go back to coachability issues. And in coachability, it's not can you be coached, but what is the best coaching modality for you? Is it one on one? Is it group? Is it peer? Is it team? As an industry, and I'm going to say it very point blank because 20 years of group coaching essentials this year, we need as an industry to be very clear. Every coach and every educator and every platform needs to be clear. What is the difference between group coaching, team coaching, one on one, and peer coaching? They are four different modalities. Many people in our industry talk about them as the same thing. They are not. We need to be very clear because we're not only confusing ourselves, but we're actually having significant negative impact on the entire marketplace.
Yeah. And people's experience of what they think they signed up for and then what they get, and they go, I don't want this. But what you're actually, what you offered is not what it is
Yeah.
always.
Yeah.
So I think setting up for success, I think we do this in week
Mhm.
one of essentials. Like, what is the distinction?
Yes.
Where is that continuum? And I'm going to say this, not everyone is suited. Some people come through the program and have clarity. Wow, I'm going to double down. And many people go on to do team coaching essentials because they see that there's even that layer that they can bring value in based on their
Mhm.
experiences and their skills. And then there's others that go, yeah, as much as I love the idea of scaling, I actually really realize that the intimacy that I can create in one on one is not there, not now, maybe not yet, not ever. And so they decide, and there is that discernment. And the
Yeah.
discernment starts with us and even having that self reflection, that self awareness. It's one thing for our fears to stop us from scaling. It's another thing
Mhm.
when we go, this isn't actually what my clients need. This isn't actually what I want.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's, I need to go do more training on group dynamics, which is like,
Mhm.
how do we manage groups? How do we work with groups, which is a different layer than group coaching.
Absolutely. There's a lot that goes into making a group coach successful, and a big part around, and this is where I will say facilitation skills, right?
Yeah.
We have to manage group process. We need to understand and be able to have multiple techniques in navigating conflict, navigating identity shifts when people are shifting in different ways. So there's a lot on the go, and this is why we continue to assert that our training is a continuing coach education process. I do not believe, and especially after 20 years of month after month being immersed in this field and month after month moving the field ahead, that group coaching is the right first step for coaches. It's not. You need a baseline. And that's why we have continued to decide to be a continuing coach education, which is only applicable for coaches who already bring a foundation, because that foundation is key. Otherwise, we wind up doing other things like facilitating.
Yeah. And I want to say this because I took group coaching essentials during the pandemic. We're going back 6 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm even looking back at that. I was just scraping the surface. That's why we call it the essentials. And
Yeah.
that's why even that coaching mindset, that continued learning, that continued growth. Like I've done the pathway and the value of the pathway in terms of how I show up, whether it be in my one-on-one, whether it be as a group coach, whether it be even in the training that I do with Potentials Realize, even in my general dialogues, has transformed how I show up. And so I wanted to say part of what we're talking about, setting up people for success, is expectations, like your own expectations with yourself. And I'm going to say this, we invite you to join us in group coaching essentials, but don't think that you're going to leave after how
5 weeks.
5 weeks and think that, okay, I've got mastery in this. No, you've got the basics to get you thinking
Started.
more started. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would even assert, and as I have been in the industry now almost 24 years,
Yeah.
right? But leading group coaching training for 20 years, month after month, even 20 hours is not enough. 30 hours is not enough. That's why our pathway program for group coaching certification is 70 hours. And I think at 70 hours, as I even saw last week with people at our last of the pathway program saying, there's more learning for me. Like, what is the next step now that I've got this? And we hear that all the time with people who have already achieved their ACTC, right? The more we learn, the more we realize we don't know. And I think that is setting people up for success as well. The day we step into the certainty of feeling like we know what is going to happen is the day that we actually should not be coaching. And I've said that to myself every day. The day that I don't feel a little bit of nervousness of like, oh, where are we going? Where might we go? Where might this take us? And feeling, if I ever feel that I know where the conversation is going to go, I have come completely out of coach stance. So
Really important.
really
Really
important.
important.
And this is another reason why we do really recommend strongly coaching supervision. And I continue to meet coaches saying, but I hear it's not requirement. It's only a requirement for team coaching. Group coaching as well. It should be a requirement. Again, if we look at EMCC, there is a requirement every year for coaches to undertake coaching supervision. It can be done as a group, in a group setting. It can be done in a one-on-one setting, but it is really important that we take time to pause and reflect on what is happening in our practice, how we are showing up as coaches, how we're showing up in relationship to our clients, and also what our clients are really needing from us now, because that continues to change dramatically.
And I think this is what I'm hearing, Jen, and I'm glad that you went a little deeper on coach supervision, because I was going to ask you, like, to say more about it.
Say more. Yeah.
Say more, because, it's a great label, but for those who go, but hold on, like, I'm not doing the ACTC pathway in ICF, so I don't have to. I think it's another layer of that coaching mindset of your own development.
Yeah.
It brings more depth. It brings a different perspective to it. For sure.
And it sets the coach up for success, right? Like we need spaces to be able to pause and say, what really is happening? Because in a room of multiple people, we are one of many, right? We are one of many, which is why another reason why I labeled my second book From One to Many. And the role of the coach is very different. How are we colluding with our clients? Are we really holding the space for everyone's possibility? And there's a lot that goes on in that space.
Yeah. And I think what, to your point, is that possibility is changing, is adapting, is evolving. And so a lot of the time you think, I've done this type of cohort, but part of the success is really, again, going back to that client centric and being present and being listening. And this is where the conversations, the expectations, the support of pre-calls, but also how are we allowing, especially in a group context, to allow individuals in the group to also have space to further their possibility? Are we offering laser calls? What are those supports to set up client success? Even the conversations, like facilitating client growth. What is happening between the sessions to support that continued momentum? And when I say momentum, it doesn't always need to be action, but it is
Yeah.
momentum. It's evolving. What are the things that we're doing to support that for them, but also for ourselves as
Yeah.
coaches?
Yeah. Well, I think we've touched on so many different layers in setting people up for success, from really the pre-calls to expectations to really looking at support elements. We've even touched on, like, how might you need to position this work? How might you need to be communicating your work differently in 2026? I think there's an opportunity here for us to always be reconnecting with those that we serve and really be listening for what was the value of your conversations together? What are the terms that they're using? And it is, as you said, it's always evolving, always changing. That's what keeps this work fresh, truly. So, anything else as you think about the basics and setting people up for success? Anything we haven't touched on?
Well, you touched on it briefly, is that whole coaching agreement. I think one of the
Mm,
things, especially in the conversations that I'm having, is again with that client centric, is going back to the basics of like even the PCC markers. What do you want to focus on?
yeah,
What's success look like?
yeah.
What's important about this? Really is at a program level,
Mhm.
which comes through goals, but it's also at a session level. And I think this is that tension, especially newer group coaches or even new people who are new to facilitation really have to lean into that tension. And like you said, the day that you think you have it all figured out is the day that you need to hang your hat and go do something else. But hanging that tension of how do I navigate like individuals on a like on a journey, but really honoring where they are and what their own needs are. And I
Mhm.
think similar to one-on-one is we have framework, we have
Yeah,
structure. And how does that show up in a conversation with a group? What does
yeah.
that look like?
And if I may, I will
Yeah.
highlight this because some people may have just heard that and said, but I thought coaching is unstructured. One-on-one coaching can be unstructured, but as soon as you bring more than one person in a room, we need to activate more structure. It does not mean that we are telling the clients what to do. It's not structure around their agenda, but it's structure around process. And I think this is something that I, over many, many decades now, have heard coaches jump on that and say, but you said structure. No, I said structure around process. That is going to give people more safety, more connection, so that they are able then to articulate what it is on their
Mhm.
agenda. So again, we need to discern coaching is coaching, and there are elements that are naturally distinct in the different spaces. I hope that listeners have enjoyed today. Again, Ivana, you started with a great question of what's your vision for 2026? Where do you want your work to take you? What's possible as we step into a whole new year? So, as always, thank you. I've enjoyed our conversation today. Anything in closing that you think's important? Any other episodes that we need to seed? I think one of the things you and I were talking about was mastering the basics. That might be a good one to listen to.
Yep. Yep. That's season 1, episode 2. Even exploring intentionality, episode
Mhm.
5.
We
How
have
to,
done those different ones around the bridge from action to awareness.
that's episode 7. Yeah. There's a lot. Even episode 11, the power of co-creating agreements, because we just touched on that, right? Setting people up for success.
We look forward to your comments. Let us know what you want to hear this year as well, because we will be continuing to bring these to you every other week at thecoachingmenipodcast.com, on your favorite podcast players, and Until we meet again, thanks for your time.
Yeah. All the best.